bravefathers.com. Welcome to the Brave Fathers Show. And now, the prophecy.
How do you deal with your problems as a man? How do you face loneliness, breakups, divorce? Perhaps you're not seeing your kids. Perhaps you feel betrayed by the people you trust the most, the people who you love the most. And it just seems that everything is going wrong. That's my favorite ink, by the way. I'll turn away the brand. That's my favorite ink for my pen. My name is John Paul from bravefathers.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. And we are talking about how to face problems as a man, especially in this modern society. So as you know, because you're experiencing it, men have a hard time in this modern society. And the reason is because we have a lot of expectations on us. It's really hot in here. We have a lot of expectations on us and a lot of obligations, if you will, but we don't get authority in return. We don't get respect. We don't get valued in return for the things we contribute as men. So understandably, a lot of men are frustrated today. And another side of the story is most of us from birth were taught only to give. We're not taught to expect anything back, but we sort of took it for granted or believed that would be rewarded for the good things that we do for other people and for the society. And unfortunately, this is not the case. Many of our friends are serving in the military, defending us. You may be doing that as well. Thank you for your service. Many of our friends are firemen. We all do all kinds of jobs, building, engineering, cleaning, garbage collection, going down into sewers to unclog them. We do security, we teach, we write, we create, we do all kinds of things. And we have this attitude from society and often from women in our society, which says that's what makes us qualified to be with them or to have a relationship and so forth. So it usually comes as a shock and a big surprise when you are faced with divorce, or you are accused of something falsely, or you are just rejected, or being made to feel like you are worse or you're inferior just because you are male, because you are a man. And it's this kind of lack of gratitude from society that has caused a lot of men to turn away from society, and some have actually given up on their lives completely because of these things. Now, since you are here, you are watching this, I believe you want to solve these problems. You want to move forward, you want to find a solution, and you want to resolve them. And so here's what I have learned in my life, facing a lot of issues that a lot of people are scared of might happen to them. For example, if they get divorced or they leave a vindictive girlfriend, for example. I have faced those things and I've been through them way more than the average person because of the circumstances surrounding my life. Now, I don't want to go into the details of all those things, but I've faced everything from not having a home, from false accusation, losing the business I've built, losing things I've worked so hard to build, and then getting to a point where nothing seems to work, nothing seems to move forward, from health, relationships, money, just my mental state, and you may be going through something similar. So thankfully, I found a way to get out of most of those things, if not all. I found a way to win in family court and get the best outcome I could for the circumstances that I had at the time that I got. I had to go all the way through to the appeal courts to win an appeal, representing myself with nobody's help. because nobody really wanted to help at that point. Everybody thought I would fail. Well, I didn't. I succeeded, and I'm here. So I got assured, live with order, and so I've been able to help other fathers get through various problems because of the mindsets I've discovered and techniques and strategies I've discovered. So those are some of the things that I want to share with you today so that you can use them and apply them in your life and get on with it so that you can make for yourself, make it happen for your children, for the people you love, and to just get through this difficult period, because I know it's difficult and I know it's hard and I know you want more out of life and I know you're trying. I know you're trying hard, and things may not be going your way, but I know you're making that effort. So often what happens is we make the effort in the wrong direction and we try to do more of what we know because that's what we know, right? So if what you know is working more, you might just work harder or you might stop working. So you might do the opposite. But you don't try something completely different, which is counterintuitive, something that is different from what you're used to. And the thing is, that's what you have to do. Because if you don't do the counterintuitive thing, something that is not within your current modus operandi, something that is not something you would normally do, or is within the scope of your current thinking, then you may find it almost impossible to get out of your problems. On the other hand, if you do realize that you have to do something that is counterintuitive, something that is uncomfortable, as bad as things may be, but something that is different on a deep, deep level from what you're used to, if you are able to do that, you will transcend your situation and you reach heights and achievements and people and the kind of relationships that you never thought was possible. But the first and difficult part is to really understand that these problems do create an opportunity. And the reason why they create an opportunity is because they destroy everything that you know, but there is a space created for something new, bigger, more powerful, and stronger. And the pain you are feeling is if you process it correctly, is very similar to the pain you may feel, going to the gym or going for a run, where it may hurt in the moment, but over time you get stronger. But of course, it has to be done properly, right? So just pain on itself is not the solution. It's just part of the process, part of the growing process, part of the learning process. So the first thing is really to acknowledge to yourself all the things that you think are wrong, all the betrayals, all the lies that you believed. You have to acknowledge them. All the things that you misunderstood, acknowledge them. All the things that you may have done the wrong way, acknowledge them. But at the same time, you have to acknowledge that there are certain things which you are essentially not very strong in. Those are your weaknesses. You may not be aware of all of them, but we all have some kind of weakness, right? And the word weakness here is not in a derogatory sense where you're being put down or putting yourself down, but it's more similar to when, using the gym example, there's a weight you cannot lift. So technically you're not strong enough or you're too weak to lift that at that moment, right? Or if you're tired and you haven't slept, you may feel too weak to lift that. But if you get rest or you exercise regularly or you nourish yourself, you will realize that you can't lift that weight. So it's something similar with the problems we face. If you're lonely, going through this divorce, going through that, maybe you've lost, 60%, 70%, maybe more of your property, or you maybe lost everything. And so in that position, you have to realize that inadvertently, something put you in that place that you're blindsided by, something that you're not aware of. And at that point, it's really important to start looking at some of the patterns in your life. If you've been brokenhearted too many times, lied to too many times, even if it's by the same person, that's a pattern. If you find yourself losing work or getting fired a lot, That's a pattern. If your businesses tend, to fail at some point, that's also a pattern. Now, the goal here is not to blame yourself, but is start getting to an objective point where you actually can see things more clearly without judgment on yourself, without any kind of harsh criticism towards yourself, more of a critique, which will allow you to find your next steps forward. But the acknowledgement has another important purpose, which is the primary thing you must do, because you have to get into a better mindset. So the thing that you really, really have to look at is how you process your emotions. Thinking about your problems does not solve them. Thinking about your problem is not the same as processing the emotions that go with that problem. And thinking about your problems sometimes puts you in a worse mind state. It actually drowns you in those. And I know it may seem easy to say when I'm not in your position. However, you have within you what it takes to resolve it. But the emotions you feel will blind you from taking logical steps that will take you out of that situation. So for example, I used to have a problem because every day around 5 o'clock, after 5, I used to get angry, I used to get rage. And the tiniest thing would set me off, and I could never understand why that was. I could never understand why that was. Why was I getting angry? And then one day, I got some food, and there was loads of oil in it, and I was so furious. And then I said to myself, why am I getting so furious? It's just like oily food. Like, yes, it's annoying, but why am I so angry? So it took me a while. And actually today I was thinking in the shower and I realized I used to get angry at my father a lot. So after 5 o'clock, around 6, whatever, 5, 6, 7 perhaps, is when he would come home from work. And I developed a habit and a pattern of getting angry around that time. Even after I moved out, even after years after I was on my own, I still had that habit, I still had that pattern. So that made it difficult for me to function because people would say something and I'll just lash out on them. I just get angry with them, you know? And I think I used to be quite mean in my expression. So that cost me a lot of friendships, a lot of people who cared about me, people who were interested in me, people who were attracted to me, didn't work with me or didn't, were not my friends, or if it's females, we didn't have anything going, or I destroyed it because of my reactions. So that was a pattern. And another pattern I noticed about myself was as soon as something got easier, I would leave it. As soon as I figured out a problem, I would not follow through to implement the solution. Just the knowing or thinking that that's the solution was enough, which cost me a lot. It cost me in business, especially because I'd work hard and crack a market, start making money in the market, and then I'll get bored and move to something else. And I didn't know that certain opportunities would not last forever. I'll have to look for other ones, but it might take me longer because I hadn't realized that up to that point, I had worked so hard to get to that point. I didn't realize, because I enjoyed my work so much, I didn't realize how much effort I had put in. I took it for granted. So a lot of things, when I look back and I realize how much business opportunities I just discarded, good business opportunities. There was a time I remember one of my first businesses that I did, it got to a point, it was not making that much, but it was guaranteed with just a couple of hours a day, $100, $200, which is not rich, of course, but in those days, I was single, had no responsibilities. And that I'm talking of like an hour or two a day max of work. And And I had other money coming in, but there was one specific venture that was just doing that. So I didn't realize that, wait a minute, if I can make, let's say $100 a day with an hour of work, right? So $100 an hour. If I put in 10 hours a day or 8 hours a day, that's $8,000 to $10,000 a day. And then now those people who stayed in that business made millions, millions upon millions, like tens of millions, like really big names. Some of the big names I recognize now. I'm like, I started with those guys. I know some of those guys. I watched some of those guys start. We used to be in the same groups. We used to chat and so forth. And now they did it. But I gave up as soon as I figured out, how to make money consistently from it. But that was a huge opportunity. And I was comparing myself to people who were making, let's say, 10 times more in a day. So let's say I was making $100, somebody was making $1,000 a day. I didn't think at the time, oh, well, maybe they're putting more effort, maybe talk to them, learn what they're doing and so forth. But that was my pattern. And so later when I got into financial trouble, I had to recognize that that was my pattern. And the same with my anger, it was costing me a lot of energy, a lot of relationships, and a lot of just a lot of opportunities that I could have had. So recognizing your patterns is one of the most important things to do. When it comes to dealing with divorce, family courts, or breakups with women and so forth, you may also have to realize your patterns. So my pattern used to be, I used to get, in the beginning, I used to be all cool, all relaxed, get with the girl. Then I would all of a sudden switch and be more needy, demanding more attention from her, always trying to get her around me, being a bit, what's the right word? Too vested in her, but always needing attention and acknowledgement and validation. So looking back, I can understand why certain women did not want to be with me, because when they met me, I was relaxed, I was calm, I knew how to keep it my cool. And then later on, I became more of a needy person. And that pattern cost me a lot as well. So I remember one girl, she was a model and she was really attractive. I really liked her. Like she was nice, And she didn't want us to see each other anymore. And I asked her why. I said, why? And she said exactly that. Like, when I met you, you were this, all relaxed, all Mr. Cool, I got it all together. And now you are like opposite. And I remember having one girlfriend that was, I'll have to talk about that relationship another time. But one thing that she used to say that used to confuse her was, on some days I'll be extremely confident, and on other days I would be so like helpless, with no idea of how to handle myself, how to handle my emotions, and it used to confuse her, like this back and forth. And I remember a friend also telling me, like, John Paul, it looks like you have a lot of mood swings. And so that was another of my patterns. So when everything crashed, when everything went wrong, so I started making better money. All of a sudden, gone everything. Like everything that I bought, gone. Like I lost everything. The relationship gone, home gone, everything, clothes, like the lifestyle, everything gone. And the worst part was the people that I trusted also seemed to have betrayed me. I had nobody to call, nobody I could really trust at the time. And it led me to the worst situation of my life that I can think so far, because I was in that vulnerable spot. So processing the emotions, again, not thinking about those problems, but processing the feeling, like literally being aware, like, oh, I feel it in my chest, I feel it in my head, I feel it in my elbow. You feel it in a weird place, but like you feel it, you feel that pain, you feel that tingling sensation, that anxiety or anguish, whatever it is you feel. You have to be willing to feel that pain. You have to literally walk towards the pain. And when I first did it, I thought I would not live through it. I thought I would not live through it. I thought this is it. I can't. This pain is going to drive me insane, crazy. This pain is going to kill me. But I was so desperate. I had hit rock bottom, and I was so desperate. So I just decided to, try something different. That's why I said in the beginning, try something which is counterintuitive. So instead of just trying to do things in that emotional state, possibly making things worse, I just allowed myself to grieve the emotions. I cried. I remember crying. There's this fountain in town, very big fountain. And I went into the middle of it in the night, because the water does not fall in the middle. And I just wept in the moonlight. Like I wept for probably like 2 or 3 hours straight. Like I couldn't hold it anymore. And at some point, I didn't even care who saw me. There was no people around. I'm sure some people saw me who thought I was crazy and who was that weird guy crying in the middle of the night, in the middle of the fountain. But I was just tired. I was tired of feeling sorry for myself. I was tired of feeling bad for myself. And I was tired of carrying this pain. I was tired of pretending to be somebody who I was not, of this image that had built up in my mind that I had to be in order to be loved and accepted, in order to accomplish what I wanted in life. And I realized that my neediness came from the fact that I wasn't fulfilling my needs. I was creating appearances that would superficially cover up my needs. My relationships, especially with women, were fake because I was acting. I knew like how to act in a way that they would see me in a different way, but it only works for so long, and then you hate yourself because you're not being yourself. You're being somebody who you are not, right? So one of the things I used to do was that was fake. I didn't accept my boundaries. A girl would do something that I didn't like, and I would not really, address it. I would put it aside. I would push it down. I would pretend I'm okay with it just because I wanted her in my life. So I was being fake because she would say something I didn't like, and I would just pretend she didn't say it or try to make a joke out of it. But really, I didn't like it. Another way I was fake was I would sometimes spend time with women that I didn't want to spend time with them. Like I didn't want to be with them. I didn't want to spend an hour or two chatting with them. But I forced myself to do it because I thought that's what you were supposed to do in a relationship, or that's what you're supposed to do to get a girl. But that's not true. That's not true. When somebody really wants you, she will appreciate whatever time you have. But as you mature as a grown up, as an adult, you have your boundaries. You have time to yourself, especially as a man. You need time for yourself, by yourself. You have things to do, you have things to create, you have things to accomplish. So where the loneliness comes in with that, like a pattern of loneliness, is you have to know the difference between the time you should spend with people and the time you should spend by yourself. And it's like not knowing how to balance it. And I would argue that you should prioritize time by yourself, even if you feel lonely. You need to figure out, how do I make this time really interesting for myself and productive for myself without involving other people first? Because once you satisfy your needs that way, once you are happy in your own company, first of all, you realize that you don't need other people as much. You will want more time to yourself because you start be like, I'm a cool guy. Like you start liking yourself more. And that will help you when you go out. You will not be needy. When you go out, you will not put pressure on people, whether it's friendships or relationships with women. You will not put pressure on them because you're good. You're sorted, right? You can go home. There's things you love doing. Whether even if it's playing video games, like you can tell yourself, you know what, I'm gonna get really good at this game. I'm gonna be one of the best in the world, or whatever it is. Like do something for yourself, but really like put effort, like, really commit to it, even if it seems trivial, but it's for you. And nobody else benefits, but you are the only one who gets joy from it. Find it still for yourself. It's all right to do something just for you, just for your own enjoyment. And I think that's what men in this society deny themselves a lot. Using the video games example, a lot of men just play games to numb themselves, to escape reality. So it doesn't. So it's not like the video games are the solution in that way. But when you're conscious about what you're doing, you understand, you're aware of what you're doing, you're literally trying to improve your life with something, then it has a different effect. And the same with your goals, with the things that you want to accomplish, not so that you are loved and accepted. Because listen, there's no amount of money in the world that will make a woman love you. I know that the red pill and the pickup artists and all that preach that money will get you women, and a lot of people believe that. They will attract women who want your money. And a lot of guys get surprised when they see a guy, working a manual labor job, getting all the girls, right? Or somebody working at McDonald's and he has a hot girlfriend and stuff like that. Or they hear about girls supporting men for years, and the guy, they said, like, using the video games example again, the guy is playing video games all day. That's what the stereotype is. And she's working hard and so forth. And people say, okay, so he doesn't have the money, she has the money, why does she want him? And people will try to say, oh, she's desperate or whatever. And that's all bullshit. It's just because people cannot accept the reality that external things can never compensate for who you are, especially in an intimate relationship. That's why you see stories like Johnny Depp, like, they don't surprise me. Most of the rappers, most of the singers, most of the famous athletes and politicians and so forth who gets these crazy divorce cases, I'm not surprised, and I don't necessarily blame the woman for being gold diggers in those situations, because if those men were fake, like I said, I used to be fake, and you attract somebody who come using something, let's say you show off your lifestyle, then of course you are using the bait, and then you can't complain that the fish is eating the bait, right? Because that's what you use. But what you'll find is, over time, you start if you learn how to be by yourself, where you're not looking for people to solve your loneliness, but you solve it by yourself. I know it sounds crazy and counterintuitive and impossible, but try it. Like, really commit to a time for yourself that is really yours. And whatever goal, because goals help us as men usually to focus on something, right? Whatever goal you choose, it doesn't matter how trivial it will look to the outside world. What matters is that it's important to you, and it's something that is for you alone. It doesn't have to benefit anybody else apart from you. Sometimes it shouldn't benefit anybody else aside from you. When you can do that, that's when you start generating strength and power and focus within yourself that will apply to all other areas of your life. And then when you attract people, friends or women, now you attract people who fit into that, who are compatible with your natural self. But to be yourself, you have to be yourself by yourself first. You have to practice being yourself. So what do I mean? If you normally get drunk, or you always get high, or again use video games or whatever entertainment to numb yourself, you're not being yourself, because you're numbing yourself. You are literally pushing yourself aside. Like, I'm sure you love your kids, or you have somebody you love. Imagine that person coming to you and you're like, oh, you understand, like, oh, go away, leave me alone. Maybe somebody did that to you. And just like how I developed that pattern of getting angry around the time my father used to come home, even years after I moved out, many of us have that pattern as well. We push ourselves aside because we're pushed aside by a parent or somebody we looked up to. And we have that pattern in our life. So it's something that you really have to observe, like observe those patterns. And again, when you're by yourself, that's when you can observe those patterns. And here's another thing. Here's a scary question that you have to ask yourself. You have to ask yourself, How do I change my thinking and my actions on a fundamental level? How do I change my thinking and my actions on a fundamental level? How do I change my thinking and my actions on a fundamental level? You really have to say, look, I'm used to this person in the mirror. I'm used to this persona that I present in public, right? But when we're honest with ourselves, we realize that we built a lot of that on the false premise, or we built that on what we thought we should be, not on who we are, right? So for example, like I realized at some point that I'm not necessarily a nice person if you cross me. But I used to try to be nice to people who crossed me. And I realized I'm not. And interestingly enough, a lot of people stopped crossing me. A lot less people cross me. And those who do cross me wish they did not cross me. And but when I was trying to lie to myself that I was this nice person, people just took advantage of me a lot more. Right? So that was a fundamental shift in my thinking to realize I'm not this nice guy that I lie to myself and to people that I am. That was one of the fundamental things. Another fundamental thing that I discovered in myself was had a very bad relationship with work. Whew, because I thought if I don't hate my work, that means I'm not working hard enough. So again, like I said earlier, I'll destroy opportunities where it felt easy, but it was going well, and it's supposed to work well and feel easy because you've worked hard to that point, obviously to have leverage, to have momentum, to move forward at a faster rate. So that a relationship with work where I would make things harder for myself or give up when it was easy, but keep going when it was hard, it got easier, I would quit. That was a very bad pattern, which cost me a lot. So on a fundamental level, I had to shift it. I had to start thinking, wait a minute, why am I doing this? What's the actual objective? And how do I follow through regardless of anything else? I remember listening to Dan Pena, who is worth listening to if you're looking for some tough love, Dan Pena. And he said, a lot of people think they want to make 100 million, right? So they start working hard and then they get their first 5 million. And they've never had a 5 million in their lives, maybe the most they had earlier was like a $50,000 or $100,000. And they get like 5 million after a sale of a company or a business. And they stop working towards the 100 million because the 5 million is beyond their wildest dreams. So we do that in all kinds of relationships with women, with our children, with friends, with work, business, so on and so forth, with ourselves, in physical fitness. You work out and you get to a certain, like, wow, I never thought I would look this good, or I never thought I would be this strong, or whatever it is. And then you stop, right? I know I've done it. So that's a fundamentally wrong relationship with those things because it's all essentially looking for validation rather than actually working towards something you want. Or sometimes some of those goals, we shouldn't achieve them because those are not the things we want. Those are not the things we care about. Those are not the things that are important to us. And it's scary also answering that question, how to change your thinking and actions on a fundamental level. It's scary because when you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, whatever age you are, you realize that, wait a minute, if I changed this thinking 10 years ago, right, my life would be different. And some of the ideas that we actually did wrong, we started doing them at a very, very young age. And those things accumulated. And sometimes when we face these problems, right, you realize that that is the accumulation of all the things that you did wrong. So when I ended up in family court, one of the things I realized is that it was the accumulative point of all the things I had done wrong in my life. Like, not to excuse the other party's actions, but what made me vulnerable to somebody who was predatory or somebody who didn't have my best interest at heart. What made me susceptible to those things was all the things that I had done wrong. And there are people who are very good at preying on that. They are very good at discovering your weaknesses, discovering your vulnerabilities, and taking advantage of you. That's why I also don't recommend, like for men to be sharing their problems with women. Like I don't, because that relationship will end one way or the other, right? Even if you spend all of your life together, there will be a time where she will be angry with you. And she may say something not because she really understands the impact, and sometimes she might understand the impact that just hurts you. I saw this video of a guy who shared a story about a fishing reel. I've only fished a couple of times. I don't know much about fishing, but I think it was the rope. And she just made fun of it, right? First of all, she was disrespectful, of course, but there was no reason to share that with her because she wouldn't understand it. She just wouldn't. Just like I don't want to hear about period cramps because I could not care less. Like if I pretend, I'm pretending. Yeah, I don't want to be in pain, but I don't care. Like I don't really care about the details of it. It's not. I don't care. Like I literally don't care. It's not that I don't care about the person. I don't care about that, and I don't need to know. Her girlfriend, though, her sister, though, can relate, right? There are things. I think the differences between us and not just women with people, we have to appreciate that there are things other people just won't understand, and they don't have to understand because we also don't understand all problems. We don't understand all issues, right? And sometimes you need to be honest that look, I really don't care, and sometimes I don't want to know. I just don't want to know. I'll do things to help, right, within my boundaries, but I will not get involved. And we are taught as men that that is a wrong approach, especially with women. But I don't care about that teaching. You see, that's the other problem that we face, that a lot of people think we have to. You don't have to. And yes, a lot of women will walk away from you. But I remember one mentor told me when I said that that's what I observed. He says, look, yeah, but then you now have space to attract the ones who respect it, right? So I like, for example, my eggs in the morning toast and stuff like that. And I really enjoy it when a woman does it for me. I just enjoy it. I can do it myself, but I enjoy it when she does it. So I've dated someone who didn't like to do that. And I've dated someone who would do that. I remember one girl I dated, and I wasn't employed at the time. I was starting out my business. And she used to work, and before she goes to work, she would make me food for the whole day. She would literally make my breakfast, put it in the fridge. She'll put all the stuff. So I'll be asleep when she's going to work. I wake up, the food is ready, right? So that's different from the person who, like, for her, making a fried egg is like pulling teeth. So you have to be willing to let go of people. A lot of the problems we have, when those happens, we can use that as an opportunity for a very difficult and painful thing to do, but necessary to let go of certain people or let go of the woman. If you are divorced or broken up or you have a baby mother, so to speak, and she seems to be, prancing about all happy whilst you are reeling from the pain, all right, bless her. That's her life now. Yes, you're separate. Find your joy. I guarantee you, you will have happiness and joy that she can't even comprehend. You couldn't even explain to her how happy you are at a point in time in future. Once you develop yourself, once you realize that a lot of the times that the problems we have as men are just a result of our upbringing, of societal conditioning. that we don't have to abide by. That it's okay for 100 women to say no, for that one to say yes. If she's the one, well, she has to be the one, after a process. She can't just be the one because she's the first one who opened her legs, or who's the first one who stayed, which is what a lot of us do. Like, let's be honest. Like, be honest. Your wife, was she your first choice? Really? She didn't have that hot friend, that hot sister, cousin, Let's be honest, that you're like, ooh, yeah, I wish it was her instead, right? Like, let's just be honest here. A lot of the things that have happened to us is because we didn't go for what we really wanted. And even if it was the woman you did want, there's something else that you gave up on to be with her, which means you didn't go for what you wanted still. You chose her over yourself because that's what society told you, right? And you believed that that's what you should be doing. So the main point I'm trying to make here is we can face these problems. And to overcome these problems, we have to use those problems as leverage to move forward, even when it seems impossible. We have to recognize that as men, we have power. I always say this: we are the most formidable creatures to walk the surface of the earth. Like, I'm not a paleontologist, I'm not a scientist, but I believe there were human beings during dinosaur times. I just believe it, right? But even if there weren't, there were all kinds of beasts. And it was men who faced them, men who got together over tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years to get societies built, right? We still have buildings standing today that men built, that were built thousands of years ago. Imagine that. It was men who built those things, who created those things. We know how to get together and make things happen. Like, we have heroes that have done things that we all look up to. And you are a hero too. But you have to see it. You have to recognize it. You have to value it. You have to appreciate it. You have to respect it. You have to respect it. And once you've grieved the issues, once you've grieved the challenges, you have to now say, okay, you know what? What next? Because what has happened can happen again. Like, what was that thing? Kamala Harris used to say, be unburdened, was it? Be unburdened by what has been, or something like that. I don't remember, but you get the point. Like, what has happened is done. It's over. It's done. You are in this situation now, right? And whatever it is, you have things that are useful. You have yourself. You can trust yourself. You have to trust yourself. You have to say to yourself, you know what? I trust you. I'm going to sleep calmly tonight because I trust you. I trust me. I will trust myself. She does not trust me. They don't trust me. They betrayed me. They lied to me. But you know what? I will be honest to myself. I will care about myself. I will take care of myself. I will love myself. I will be here for myself. I'm here for myself. For me, just me. It doesn't have to please her, him, them, nobody, the society. I can just be here for myself. Yeah, I'm selfish. Okay, whatever. You have the right to do that. You have the right to look for the things that move you forward. And if you feel depressed, you feel sad, if you feel alone, then all you need to do, is to find the smallest step. And sometimes, fair enough, it may be, okay, you know what, I'm going to take a nap. But without guilt, I'm just going to take this nap and relax. Maybe that's the step you need. Maybe you just need to write down how you feel. Maybe that's the step. Maybe you need to throw some stuff out that is burdening you. Then you do that. Maybe you just need to analyze things, right? Once you've processed your emotions, because if you've not processed your emotions, you not analyze it properly. Then you do that, right? One moment, I think one of my kids is up. Open the door. I'm just making a video. Listen, I'm not finished, okay? I'm live on air. So go to bed, okay? Give me a high five. All right, go to sleep. I'll check on you soon, okay? I love you, son. No, you can stay in my room if you want. Sorry about that. Yeah, so, yeah, and then you get joy from little things. Like I remember when the court case started and when I couldn't see, you know, I was like, when am I going to see the kids? Like I was getting promises, oh, do this and that. And then later it was OBS, I had to go to court. And it was so painful because I was living literally about 10 minutes walk away. 10, like if I walk fast, it was 5-7 minutes. If I run within 2-3 minutes, I would be there, right? I made sure I had a place very close by. And I couldn't see, like imagine not being to hold your own child and you're just nearby. Not because there was anything against it, but if I did show up, there would be a false accusation, which I was very well aware of. And then you get to a point where, you know, you fought hard and you get the results. And trust me, it was not an easy battle. But I'm glad I did it because it's worth it and you are worth it. You are worth it. You see, it's easy. A lot of people think when I speak, yeah, a lot of people think it's easy for me. What they don't understand, what they don't see is the amount of effort I put into everything that I do. Right? And the same thing is going to happen for you, and maybe you've experienced it already. You put effort into something, you get the results, and people think, oh, it's just so easy. You know, there are things I never understood. Like, you know, when I saw people, let me use an example that may seem odd, but let's say you see a guy on the street pushing a basket or a trolley with things in it. But when you get to a certain level of experience, you understand the importance of what that person is doing for himself. And everybody may think he's crazy, but that's what's keeping him alive. And you realize that that's the state he got to. Whether or not he gets out of it is another thing, but you get it. You actually get it. You don't find it crazy anymore. You realize that everybody has their struggle. And maybe you are that guy pushing a trolley on the street, but I don't think you are. Like if you've seen crackheads arguing over a blanket, shouldn't be funny, but you know what I'm talking about. You know how hard it gets for people. And it's scary thinking you may end up in such a difficult position, but hopefully you're not. And you may feel shame, guilt, embarrassment, disgrace, humiliation. Those things happen. We go through them and you can process them. And those emotions are also part of your evolution. So my argument is some of the things that we face are actually things that take us to the next level, but we run away from them, not realizing that this is what's taking us to the next level. That's the opportunity to grow, to become stronger, to become more powerful. And yes, it's painful, but the growing is painful. Like kids have growing pains, right? Like, right? They can feel pain in their legs, in their body because they're growing. The bones are expanding. And that's life. And it's not comfortable, it's not easy. And you have to be prepared for any eventuality. You have to brace yourself sometimes. Look, I don't know exactly what you're going through, so I wouldn't dare speak and tell you, exactly what you should do without knowing it, assuming that I know the solution. But what I do know is that the societal, the way the society is trying us to think, make us think, is actually making us helpless, because a lot of the things we lament are the things we shouldn't have. Like, I would dare say, like, you shouldn't have your ex. I know you may hate me for this right now. You may be like, I'm not listening to this guy anymore. But she does not deserve you. And you probably deserve better. But the only way you can truly deserve better is if you do better for yourself, not for the person. You are not worthless on your own. You're not without value. The same way the woman has intrinsic value, you have value as well. You are valuable as well. Like, the society makes you think that you have to earn your value. And again, I hate it when the red pill says that, or the pickup artist will say you have to demonstrate higher value, and bullshit. Right? I don't like when they say that, because it implies and it entrenches that societal belief that you have to do something to be valuable. So you attract people who match that. And it's possible that you met people, or you met women in your life who thought the world of you, and you thought, uh, I don't understand why she likes me so much. I'm not all that. Or I'm not good enough for her. Like, when guys say, I don't deserve her. Like, what do you mean you don't deserve her? She's too good for me. Why? Because she cooked for you, because she smiles, because she opens her legs. Like, what is it about her that you are not good enough? What is it? As if a man does not have on his own a contribution that he makes just by his presence. Do you know how, like, your presence, what it means? Why do you think females keep guys in friend zone? They need that male presence. They still need it. They may not be attracted to the guy, but they still need his presence. They still need to be able to talk to him. Why is that females don't call their friends when they need to move? Why is that they don't call their friends, female friends, when they need, to refurbish the house, to do the floors, or to fix things? And I'm not saying our contribution is strictly to our labor or our finances and things like that, or protection. No, just presence, just time. They pretend, they lie, they make it look that we are not valuable, and a lot of males fall for it. We just fall for it. We believe it. And then we work harder. You make your first million, or your first 10,000, weekend, or whatever it is. Or you buy the car, you buy the clothes, just to impress who? Why? Those things are good and have their place, don't get me wrong. But they are not representative of your value, because whoever you are, once you get into a relationship, you will be by yourself at some point, and all those things will be gone. Even if you're inside of a mansion on a most expensive bed, whatever, like, you still are with that person, and all the excitement wears off, and you're faced with that human being. And you can't substitute your true character with anything, right? If I go outside now and I'm dressed in a police uniform, but I'm not a cop, I don't have a power as a cop. So external things is not what makes you. But if I'm a plainclothes policeman, and um, I'm on the street, I have that power. It's not the uniform that gives me the power. The uniform is a symbol of the power. It's easy to identify me that I have the power, right? But it's not, the power doesn't come from the uniform. So it's the same thing with things like money. A lot of guys act more confident when they have money. So yes, it becomes more attractive to women. And by confidence, I don't mean bravado, which can be mistaken for confidence. It's just your ability to trust yourself. That's confidence means I trust myself. You know what? I don't know what's gonna happen next. I will figure it out. Yeah, I'm scared, but you know what? I'm not gonna focus on that. Right? And one last thing I want to say is because on X there was this argument about men having to pretend when things are tough. And the thing is not about pretending, but you don't have to show your emotions all the time to everybody. I'm not saying ignore your emotions, deal with them, face them, but you don't have to show them to the world. They are yours. I know some people think it's a good thing. They go out to these groups and come back complaining that the woman made fun and so on and so forth. Look, it's not a productive way of doing things. You are a leader. Whether the society acknowledges or not, you are still a leader. Just like when you have a company or you have a boss or you're managing people or your kids, you don't want to come show them everything that's going wrong. You keep things away. You process them yourself. You know, you have to let go of the romantic ideology that will keep you trapped and make it harder for you to solve these problems. So I know my view may be different on how we face problems as men. I don't believe in any of the solutions that are being proposed, or most of the popular solutions. So that includes the red pill, that includes the pickup artist, that also includes what the society says. I don't support any of those things. I think every man has a way of figuring out for himself what he needs to do, but we've been trained from childhood not to do it. So to directly address the red pill view that women are born with value and men have to earn their value, that's a lie. My position is women are born with value, men are also born with value. However, men are taught to discard their value and work hard to substitute the lack of that value which they were supposed to be developing with external things. So the value you are earning is really a substitute for who you really are. You understand? So again, of course, you have to make your money. You don't want to be dependent on people, right? You have to feed yourself. So when you don't depend on anybody else, you feel good about yourself, you feel confident about yourself because you're independent, right? And no man likes to be dependent on people. But you don't do that as a proof of your value. You do that because you want to do it for yourself, period. And what one man wants is different from the next one wants. So what you want to do is to discover the value that you already have in you, to discover the value you were born with and understand it, who you are as a man, who you are as a human being, in the depth of your soul, who you truly are. And when you do that, that's when you have the power to not even solve those problems, to obliterate them. So they dissolve. You ascend to a different level. You transcend everything else and you become who you really are. And that's where this cliche is saying, but true, be yourself works, because then you really be yourself, not the persona, not the character you've been playing, not the role you've been playing, not the identity you've built, but who you really are, your true self. So, on that note, I invite you to get in touch with me. Go to bravefathers.com and click on the contact form. If you're going through family court or you're trying to break out of an abusive relationship as a man, or if you just need to talk to somebody who gets it, get in touch. I always give an hour free of charge, no obligation, no strings attached. It's not an hour-long page, not me presenting services or anything like that. Of course, if you're interested, I will tell you more of what I offer. But if the stuff I'm telling you now resonates with you and you have questions and you want a personalized consultation to figure out your strategy, and specifically, especially if you are fighting for your kids and family cause, get in touch. I'm here. People help me a lot. I tell people to talk to at least 25 lawyers, when they go through this, because I had many lawyers give me free consultations, because I knocked on doors, so I want to give back as well. So when I do this, people come to me. I committed that whoever comes to me gets an hour absolutely free with no obligation, and is a full-on help, as if you were a close friend and a very good client. So, to conclude for today, remember, when in doubt, you are the truth. I'll see you next week.
BraveFathers.com